this has to be signed. Okay, the next pattern which we would cover is proxy pattern. So this is also called as a surrogate, and this belongs to a structural pattern. What is a proxy? Sorry? Proxy. Okay. Proxy attendance. Proxy attendance. Okay, so proxy is a mediator. Bypassing something. So one thing is common. Proxy is something which is not real. Right? So somebody is trying to fake, and that fake is a proxy. So this is a definition of proxy from thefreedictionary.com, which states that a person authorized to act for another, an agent or a substitute. Okay. The authority to act for another. And third definition is the written authorization to act in place of another. So which basically means that a proxy is something which is not real. It is somebody acting on behalf of that real. So examples of proxy. So you know what is a real mother, right? So real mother is somebody who has given you the birth. But you also have a you also have surrogate mother, right? So she is a proxy. Okay. So a proxy is a person who is representing you. For example, I am in income tax sample. So there is a CA who is serving as a proxy for me. He made me sign the power of attorney, and so he is going to represent me at the income tax department. So he is a proxy for me. And of course, we have always heard about internet proxy. So it's a proxy server. It lets you talk to the internet. Known uses of proxy pattern. I have about 4 examples. They are short examples, and so which means that the presentation would get over in 30 minutes, not more than that. So we talk about what is kernel proxies. We take one example of document editor proxy. We have an example of target MM proxy, which is from the CDMA MM code, and we also have KPI. So KPI stands for key process indicator. So this is something which I got. This example I got from YouTube. If time permits, we would go through the last one. Otherwise, we are going to cover the first 3 ones, just to get an idea of what is a proxy pattern. So example 1, kernel proxies. So suppose this rectangle represents kernel of the Unix operating system. So what does the kernel do? The kernel implements the functionalities of the Unix. Kernel is called as the core of the Unix operating system. Okay. So if I write a C program which calls system calls like read, write, even library functions like scanf, printf, they are eventually going to invoke some methods of the kernel. So kernel is a representative of, for example, if I have a file system, so I can have an object for interfacing the different methods of the file system. Now that is represented by this kernel object. So that's a real object. Now why would if I allow anything and everything to be done, then will that be a problem? If I am a standard Unix user and I can invoke any method of the kernel object, can that cause a problem? What kind of problem it can cause? Security issues. You can crash the kernel. You can cause the OS to go down. You can go and do something. You can go and delete my files. For example, Krupa logs in and he can go and delete my files. So there are security issues, which means that there are 2 levels of user. One is the standard user and the other is super user. The standard user can only manipulate his files. He can create his processes. he can kill his processes, the processes which is created by him. But he cannot go and kill Kripa's process. I cannot go and kill the process which has been created by Kripa. So that's where the role of this proxy comes into picture. So I would create two proxy classes. The first one, I would call it as standard user proxy. So the standard user proxy is derived from the kernel proxy object. The kernel class is again derived from the kernel proxy object. I'm sorry, let's give this some other name because these are supposed to be proxy. So that these are proxies, but so all these three classes are going to be derived from this base class, which means that the base class provides an interface. This class implements those interfaces. These classes also implement those interfaces. Okay? Now, suppose there is a method in kernel proxy, kill process. I mean, when you do kill -9 PID of a process, it is eventually going to call some function inside the kernel, right, to kill that process. Because it has to go and change the process table, make change entries in the process table and stuff like that. So suppose kernel proxy has a method called kill process. And then the kill -9 command, the kill command which you give at the shell, goes and invokes the kill process method of kernel proxy. So ideally, if I allow the kill proxy, the real job of kill proxy, who is going to do that? The real job of kill proxy? Kernel class, right? The kernel class is going to implement that. It is going to go and change the process table entries and do whatever is required. But what we would do is, the kill proxy of this or this is going to be invoked. And inside that kill proxy, we would make sure that I delete only my processes. And a super user can delete everybody's processes. So this kill process would have some checks which would make sure the sanity is ensured. I don't kill somebody else's process. And then it is going to invoke the kill process of the kernel class. Okay? So this was the first example of why we needed proxies. So this proxy is called as protection proxy. So the proxy over here in this class diagram, how many proxies do we have? Two proxies. One is the standard user proxy, the other is the super user proxy. And these proxies are called as protection proxies. So this was first example of a proxy. The second example is that of a document editor. Okay, so now this example was from that Gang of Four Gamma, the standard design pattern book. Okay, so he talks about he wrote about this example, which was actually published in some journal. Okay, and they implemented an operating system called Choices. So the operating system choice was using this pattern. Okay, so the Eric Gamma has a reference to this. So the second example of proxy. This is my Outlook email, and it says that you have 2 friend birthdays this week, and there are 2 names over there, and this says that there is a picture over there, and this is another picture, right? But there is a cross mark over there because those pictures are not downloaded. Okay, so any editor, when it opens a file, a Word document, for example, if I go and open a file, it has a text content, and it can also have some embedded pictures. Now assume that those pictures are represented by a class called image. Okay, so for every picture which is there in my document, there is going to be an image object. Okay, so I would have one document editor class, one object, which is a representation of my document. Okay, readme, for example, readme.doc is a file. So when you open this file, there are a bunch of objects which are created by the Microsoft Word, and this is going to be one document editor object is going to be there for my file, readme.doc. and that would contain pointers to the image object. One object for every image. And this image object will have methods like draw, store, load, and image map, I guess, and extend. So load, start with load. What does load do? Can you guess what does load do? What is possibly load doing? Yeah, it is loading the image from the hard disk to memory, in-core. Basically an in-core copy of the image which is there in the hard disk. Store is the reverse operation. For example, if I go and change something in the image, it is going to store the image back to the hard disk. Draw is draw the image. So show the image on the word. The example which I showed, those images were not drawn. That's why you just saw one cross mark over there. Okay, and get extent is dimension. Extent is the dimension, the starting coordinate and the size of the picture. So this image class represents one image. So what is the sequence diagram when the object is created? So let's take the case when I want the document, when I open the document, when I open readme.doc, it has to open up and it has to open up with all the pictures. So I would not have a proxy, I would have only one image object for that particular image. So what is going to be the sequence when the document is opened? And this is my image object. And I want, when I open readme.doc, so this particular picture which is there in my readme.doc has to be drawn. So if you look at these methods of the class, what is going to be the sequence diagram when the file is opened? It has to load first. Okay.
Probably get extend.
Okay, get extend. Get extend is needed because it has to, reserve that space in the readme.doc, and then draw. Okay. So this is going to be the sequence diagram when this image, when readme.doc is open. If I have just this approach, what kind of a problem this can cause?
Anybody can open it. Security is it.
Okay.
Access.
Okay, so that is taken care by the readme.doc file. So readme.doc, you would not share your readme.doc to me. Okay. So that's how we will take care of that. So in this case, the problem is when the file readme.doc is opened, you would not like all the images to be displayed at the start. Why? Because the time to open the document is going to be large. Suppose you have 10 pictures in the file, the time to open the document is going to be large. So that's the reason we would have an image proxy class in this case. And this is an example from that Gang of 4. So what I would do is I would create one image proxy class. So earlier I had just this image class and this base class, and there is a document of editor class. Now I create an image proxy class. This is again inherited from this graphic class, and this has all the same methods. It has a draw, it has a get extend, it has a store, it has a load. It has a file name and it has extend. Extend is needed over here. Okay. So when you open the document, just to prevent that huge initialization time, it would do the same operation of load image, get extend, draw, but it would not draw actually. Okay, so it would just display some default window and put the extend over there. Okay, and when somebody does a right click on the picture and requests the picture to be drawn, it is going to draw it. So the draw method of this image proxy is going to do something like this. It sees if the image is 0, it creates this object, and then it does a concept draw. So this actually has to be new of that image object. Okay, so somebody wants to draw the object. Once the document has been opened, somebody wants to draw the object. So this draw is going to be invoked, and this draw would create the image object, and then call the draw method of the image object. Okay. And the get extent returns the extent which is from here. So initially when we call when the document editor calls a get extent, the extent which is stored over here, which is basically the dimension of the picture and the starting coordinate, is going to be passed on to the document editor. Okay. But if there is an image object, we can return the get extent from the image object. So this proxy pattern, all it says is add this image proxy object, which has exactly the same methods as the base class, and this class would create this class, and this class, in most of the cases, is going to call the method of the real object. So this is a proxy. Okay. Any questions on this? Okay, we'll skip it. So target proxy. Now this is one example from code. So we got two uses of proxy pattern. One was in kernel proxies, the second was for a document editor. Now the third use is basically to represent an object which is on a different address space. So the textbook says the proxy can also be used to represent an object which is on a different address space. So the target proxy is a representation of a different MM. So this is my mobile. When it wants to set up a call, it would send a message to the BTS. The BTS would send a message called channel required to the source MM, and then this fellow finds that after looking into the channel required message, it finds that there is one leg which actually is on this particular MM. So it has to add this leg on this particular MM. Now the application which is running over here, it has a target proxy object, which actually represents this MM. A source can actually can talk to 4 different MMs, so there can be a maximum of 4 target proxy objects. So these classes, these objects, are basically representing the other MM to which the leg can be added. And there is a class called CDMA IC handoff, which is an aggregate class. So aggregate class means basically it has a list of pointers to the target proxy objects. And how many pointers are going to be there in that class? So as we said that this can interact with 4 MMs, so this is going to have 4 pointers. So it's an array of 4 pointers. Okay. And the way this class interacts with this guy is, so this has a method called check and send IC handoff add request. So the moment you have a leg to be added to a different MM, there is a message called IC initial handoff request to be sent to a different MM. So it knows that okay, I need to talk to the other MM, and this object is my proxy for the different MM. So I would just pass on a message to target MM first, which is it is going to invoke the method check and send ICHO add request of target MM proxy object. Okay. So similar to this target proxy, HAP I think has a database proxy object, which basically is an interface to the database. And SDF code also, I saw many proxy objects, like SDF code has a proxy object, which represents that particular MM. So these are a couple of examples for the proxy pattern. We would skip this example. So the intent of proxy pattern is to provide a surrogate or placeholder for another object to control access to it. So in case of kernel proxy, the intent was to prevent a kernel object from, to have a controlled access to the kernel object, right? Proxy pattern is applicable when there is a need for a more versatile or sophisticated reference to an object that is a simple than a simple pointer. So here are a couple of situations in which a proxy pattern is applicable. A remote proxy. A remote proxy provides a local representative for an object in different address space. So of the three examples which we considered, which one falls into the category of remote proxy? Target MM proxy. Right.
So if you look at the methods in the target MM proxy,
Yeah.
it is doing job of the source MM for that particular target. So it looks like a little misnomer sort of, right? Is what I was thinking.
That it is a proxy.
If you go to target MM proxy object,
Mhm.
then all the methods in that
Mhm.
class
Mhm.
looks like it is purely work of source MM, like sending IC end of request and getting IC end of add.
Mhm.
So all that is the job of source MM for that particular target MM. So I'm not sure whether the name is right for that target MM proxy. Anyway, it is there in our code. So
The client when using the method, the proxy provides an interface and the client is working.
yeah,
The source MM is actually a client.
Yeah.
source MM is the client, but if you look at in target MM proxy what you are doing, you are not doing any job of target MM. The job of target MM is to send the RF resource first to PGS. So it's not that the target MM proxy is doing that, right?
Okay.
Here, in that particular case, the target MM proxy was not to do the job of the real target MM. It is a representation of the target MM.
Yeah,
If you
just
look at that,
representation. So it cannot be proxy, right?
no, it is a proxy because if you look at that, the BTS, it has the BTS representation, which are under the target MM. It has information about the target BTSs also.
Like BTS of target
Yeah.
MM proxy has been
Yes, it has.
Even for MASHO, there are a lot of stuff.
And now we're going too much into the details of one particular one. It's not
Yes.
So basically the point here is it's a representation of the target MM. So this is the, out of all the examples which I have taken, I think this is the weakest example of the proxy. As from the example of what a real proxy is. So as we saw in the case of image or in the case of kill process. So there what was happening was the kill process of the proxy is going to directly call, after some checks, it is going to call the kill process of the kernel object. But here in this case things are a little smarter in the sense that you would not like as you said, the target MM would send a request to the packet BTS, but that is not going to happen in the target MM proxy. But it would provide the right kind of triggers to the target MM. So I would say this is more of a remote proxies are generally a representation of a target object. See, this specific case of remote proxy. See, I looked into all the examples of in HAP code and in SDF code. So for any outside box, they always have a proxy object. SDF has a MM proxy. It also has a PCF proxy. MM has a target MM proxy. HAP also had a database proxy. Okay, so that's what I wanted. Okay, the second kind of proxy is a virtual proxy. So what was the need of virtual proxy? So the virtual proxy creates expensive objects on demand. The expensive objects like the image is going to be created only on demand, not always. A protection proxy. So which of the three examples fall in this category? Kernel proxy. A protection proxy controls access to the original object. Protection proxies are useful when objects should have different access rights. For example, kernel proxies in the choices operating system provide protected access to the operating system objects. Okay, so how does the structure of proxy pattern look like? So when I say structure of proxy pattern, I mean the class diagram. So I have a subject and I have a real subject. And subject has a method called request, and real subject also implements that request. Okay. The request in case of image proxy is what? Draw. Okay. The request in case of kernel proxy is what? Kill process. So when I'm not making use of pattern, this is how things are going to look like. If I'm not making use of pattern, this is how my stuff is going to be. Now when I add a proxy, I would derive a class called proxy, which is a proxy for which class? It is a proxy for this, right? It is a proxy for real object. So there is always a proxy is for something. So this proxy is for the real object. And this also, this is derived from subject, so it has to implement a request. And the request of this is going to call real subject request. Okay. So it is passing on the request to the real subject. But then it is not going to be as simple as that. There can be checks, there can be much more done in this method before it calls the real subject request. Okay. In case of image proxy, it was actually creating the image object and then calling a draw of that. In case of kernel proxy, it was doing some checks whether you are the right guy to kill this process and then calling the kill proc of the kernel proxy. Okay, and this is how the object diagram is going to look like. So for every pattern we have two things. One is the class diagram, the other is the object diagram. It is simple. I have three objects here. There is a client and the client is going to have a pointer to the proxy object. The client is not going to talk to the real subject. The client is always going to talk to the real subject through the proxy. So the client is going to invoke the methods of the proxy. And the proxy in turn would do some additional stuff and then call the method of the real subject. Okay, so this is how the object diagram is going to look like. So who are the participants of the proxy pattern? We had a proxy which maintains a, okay, so when I say participants, what I mean is the participants means the entities which are there in this particular class diagram. So there are three participants, right? So one is the proxy. Now we talk about that proxy. So the job of proxy is to maintain a reference that lets the proxy access the real object. This is the job of proxy. Proxy provides an interface identical to the subjects so that a proxy can be substitute for the real subject. So proxy has to implement, at least theoretically, all the methods of the subject so that a proxy can be a substitute for the real object.
Here, that's what I'm saying. So if you take the target element proxy, it
Yeah.
doesn't have all the methods of the target.
True.
Actually, in the case of target element proxy, what I believe that it is the proxy of source MM to deal with different targets. So it is that.
No, it is a proxy of the target at the source. I would say that.
Yeah, it is both of the things.
See, because who is that proxy representing? See, that proxy is representing the target right?
That proxy is implementing the
Target to the source See, it is representing the target. See, the CDMA IC handoff class is a client.
Yeah, but we'll have to look into what are the different methods are there in the
I did look into that,
Because
and
what I'm seeing is it is sending IC handoff request to
Okay.
the top of source end.
Okay.
To send IC handoff request.
yes,
It accepts IC handoff ACK message. So
Yeah.
that ACK is also job of source end to process, right?
right.
So if there are only these type of methods, so it is somewhat like the proxy of source MM itself to handle different target elements.
Okay, I mean, see, I would say that, see, this is the theoretical definition of a pattern. Okay, so feel free to tweak it. I mean, as applicable. Now, if you try to implement target just to keep up with this pattern, if you start doing, what the target MM actually does, then it will be a big mess. Okay, so the basic idea has to be used. That's the point. Yeah. Not in this case, because see, in this case, in the case of target proxy, the target proxy does not have a pointer to the remote object, because see, they are two different machines actually, and they are connected through LAN. Yeah, so that was the case in case of kernel proxies and the image proxy. So the proxy had a pointer to the object, but in case of target proxy, there is no, I mean, it cannot have a pointer to the object. It just knows how to talk to the target
So it is object morphing. It's not.
Okay, object morphing. Okay.
The source object itself to zero function class.
Oh no. See, all we are doing is eventually yes, but not directly, because see, these are two different boxes with different applications running on them. So when you want a method of the target to be invoked, you can't have a pointer to that object and call it directly. You send a message, and when it receives a message, it will call some method. So eventually that's what happens. But in some cases, as in case of image proxy and kernel proxy, you had a pointer to the real object, because you were talking about the same CP application on the same box. Okay, but in case of target proxy, this is a case of remote proxy, where you're just trying to represent the other entity using one object. It's basically an interface to the other entity. Like SDF has proxy, it has a PCF proxy, so we have a target proxy in MM. Okay, so
In this particular case, it is purely to represent it, because we have
yes,
MM is the top level of the network as far as we are concerned, and remote MM, that's a peer device, and you can have 2 or 3 of this peer device, up to 4 connections you can have. So you represent all the child medias, everything under that like MM in a particular way. The similar way, you don't want to add what is under the remote MM into under the current MM itself.
Yeah.
So what you did is you group them under a remote MM proxy. That's a target MM proxy. And the target MM proxy keeps all the information about the VTSs which are under that. So just a logical representation, and it's specified that it's a different address space. From that aspect only, not really in terms of
Not in terms of
the functionality of that.
so there are multiple types of proxies. So the first 2 proxies, which is protection proxy and the virtual proxy, would actually contain a pointer to the real subject, but not in this case. Okay, let's continue. So participants, so proxy maintains a reference that lets the proxy access the real object, provides an interface identical to the subject so that a proxy can be substituted for the real object. Proxy controls access to the real subject and may be responsible for creating and deleting it. Okay, other responsibilities depend on the kind of proxy, of course. Okay, so remote proxies. So we are still talking about the role of a proxy, the role of the proxy class. So if we have a remote proxy, so remote proxies are responsible for encoding a request and its argument, and for sending the encoded request to the real subject. Now this definition is not something which I have written after going through target proxy. This is a standard cut paste from that gamma. And this so well fits into our target proxy example, right? Okay. See, it exactly says what the target proxy does. Okay. Virtual proxies may cache additional information about the real subject so that they can postpone accessing it. So in case of image proxy, what was that additional information which image proxy was storing? Extent, right? Because it had to show that this is the space for image and put a cross mark over there, right? So it has to know the starting position and the coordinate of that picture, right? Protection proxies check that the caller has access permission required to perform a request. Okay. Who are the other participants of the proxy pattern? So there is a subject. So subject is the base class. So subject defines a common interface for real subject and proxy so that a proxy can be used anywhere a real subject is expected. So subject is a base class. You have 2 derived classes, real subject and a proxy. And you want, anywhere you are trying to access a real subject, you put a proxy. You just pass a pointer, create a proxy and pass a pointer to that. And the client code should require no other changes. Okay, so subject is my base class. And then finally we have the real subject for which we are creating the proxy. So that's all we had. So one last question. What is the distinction between a proxy pattern and an adapter pattern? Adapter pattern was covered in the first class, right? So they look similar, right? So you proxy and the real subject.
Proxical additional things rather than adapter just replicates the
Yeah, so that's almost correct. So proxy also has a pointer to the real subject. Adapter again has a pointer to the server. The job of adapter was to take care of interface kind of issues. Okay. So we considered one example where we had a base class and we had a server. And this server had a method called P1, which takes a int x and char y. Okay. So I was happy with my server. Okay. But suddenly there was a new server in the market which I downloaded from Google, and it provided the same functionality. So P1 could be quick sort, P1 could be bubble sort, or it can be some searching algorithm, some standard algorithm. Now the new server implements P1, but it has a different name. Just the name of the method is different. and the parameter which is passed to P1 are the same, but it first takes a char and then takes an integer. So adapter was used to take care of these kind of issues. So the P1 over here, which takes an int and char, suppose this is Q1 over here and this takes a char in it. So this P1 is going to act as a wrapper for Q1. So adapter is just a wrapper, but proxy does much more than that. Okay. So that's all we have. We'll take a short break, and then after that, Shobha would present on prototype. Where is Shobha? Okay. Okay. So 12 o'clock we'll start. 6 minutes break.